Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. Combine week is here, and some of the news and rumors already starting to flow out of Indianapolis. Stephen Jones spoke with his comments on guys like Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard. But I want to begin with the Ezekiel Elliott conversation. Is he cooked? Is he washed up? As Bob Sturm of The Athletic has said, it's 4 stars. I am sorry. I am sorry the Zeke truthers who still exist, but there's no way it's anything other than 4 stars relative to what he once was. Doesn't mean he still can't help you a little bit, but he is not the same guy that he was. His production, his efficiency has drastically dipped over the past couple of seasons. He simply doesn't have the ability, the burst, the juice, the big plays that he once did. He's still good, still very good in short yardage situations, but that role is not that valuable. Elliott will not and simply cannot be back at his $10.9 million base salary. That number must be significantly reduced if he's going to return. Now, my solution had been the vet minimum, which is not that different than what Bob Sturm of The Athletic wrote. He said, when asked about, it was a Q&A of like, does Zeke have it anymore? It was, the answer is that given the number of analysts and scouts I've talked to about Elliott this year, the consensus opinion is in stone. He has very little left in his legs, and the word is out. I believe there's one option for employment above the league minimum, and it is right here in Dallas. I'm not even sure I'd go that far that somebody else out there wouldn't give him a little bit more than the vet minimum. You know, maybe we're talking 1 year, $2 million. But that's what he's worth at this point. The touchdowns are great. He still is one of the better players at turning a 1-yard loss into a 1 or 2 yard gain. That's not that valuable. There is value, but not nearly at the $10 million price tag. Look at this production dip. We're talking a guy who was once a 5 yards per carry player, and he averaged less than 4. And we can't go with it was only the offensive line, because the other back put up way, way better and more impactful production. So Ezekiel Elliott is not that guy anymore. He is not living up to the contract he currently gets, and it's time to make a change on that front. I'm going to give some more final thoughts here on this, but is Ezekiel Elliott cooked? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comments on today's video. So if an ad break happens to come here on YouTube, that's fine. Ignore the ad. Take advantage of it, frankly. Head down there and type in your Y for yes, he's washed up, N for no, he is not. To the Zeke truthers out there, I am sorry, but the reality is that Ezekiel Elliott is washed up. He is not remotely the guy he once was. Now, I've seen the arguments of, well, he was banged up, and that's true. Ezekiel Elliott has been banged up the past couple of years, and that's also part of the problem. He's not suddenly, at this point in his career, at this point in his workload, his overall usage, he's not suddenly going to stay healthier. The reality is, this is who Zeke is. He's going to be a sub 4 yard per carry guy. He'll kind of cool off down the stretch. And for those of you who have said, well, he just needs more volume, no, that doesn't make any sense. More volume is not the solution. For those of you saying that he's great in the fourth quarter, it's actually been his least efficient quarter over his career. And it was really bad this year. That Zeke we all knew and loved at the beginning of his career, he's simply not that guy anymore. Now, today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Cultivate, the free browser extension that brings transparency to your Amazon shopping experience. Cultivate shows you the brand, seller, or product origin and identifies local alternatives that support local community efforts while saving you money. Over 50% of Amazon U.S. sellers based in China, Cultivate offers a way to avoid trickery from these sellers and keep money in the U.S. economy. Cultivate offers alternatives that are on average 30% less expensive than Amazon without any additional costs such as Amazon Prime. It can even identify local alternatives that you can pick up the same day. Cultivate users earn donations as rewards for using the extension, and the more you use it, the more you earn in donations by increasing your level. In fact, Cultivate donates 51% of the revenue that they make on your purchase. So what are you waiting for? Go to wecultivate.us/chatsports and download Cultivate for free. Let Cultivate bring transparency, savings, and community support to your Amazon shopping journey. Support the show and download with our link. It's in the comments and the description of today's video. Let's go to the other member of that draft class. Dak Prescott is an extension coming for the Cowboys' sometimes overly hated quarterback. 3 stars on this one. If you take the word of Stephen Jones only, it'd be 4 stars. But this is a headline from 2018, 19, and 20, so I'm not giving it 4 stars. Stephen Jones told Todd Archer that we've got to have a plan to ultimately extend Dak, which I think some of the reposting has been, we have a plan to ultimately extend Dak, and left out the got to have, which is important there. The Cowboys can save cap space by extending or a simple restructure of Dak Prescott this offseason, and it would be nice, for once, if the Cowboys showed urgency with their franchise QB, something they did not do in the past, because that's not something that they've done. Now, what really matters here is the number. How much are you paying Dak? Bobby Belt has floated out the number of $46 million per year. And if that's the number for Prescott, that's actually a very team-friendly figure. Look at the other quarterbacks in the NFL. Not to mention we'll get to other quarterbacks due for new deals soon. At the moment, let's say he barely beats out Kyler Murray, which is fair because Dak Prescott we worry about the playoff success, right? Dak has had more playoff success than Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, and Lamar Jackson combined, which feels significant that no one ever really talks about it. $46 million, I know there's sticker shock there. By the time, if you do that deal this offseason, by the time you start the upcoming one, it's not going to be a top 5 figure anymore, because Joe Burrow is going to get probably $50 million. Justin Herbert, Lamar wants a fully guaranteed deal. Frankly, Jalen Hurts has an argument to be paid more than the Kyler Murrays and the Deshaun Watsons. And if you do it with urgency, by the time that deal starts, you're actually kind of exactly where you are right now. The reality is you have a top 10 quarterback. It's fair to be upset with the frustration of the lack of playoff success. That's fair. But if we're doing that as the benchmark, then there's about 5 guys out there, active guys, who are healthy and still the same player. I'm not including Russ in that category anymore, who have done more. So if it is 46, I'm not sure it is. That's actually a pretty team-friendly deal, folks. Now, we'll have more on the extension side of it when we do our extension candidates video later this week. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Free videos will be at the Combine from Mike McCarthy's press conference on Wednesday, by the way. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Let's move to Tony Pollard, to the running back. How about franchise tagging one Tony Pollard? I'll give this one 3 stars. Again, Stephen Jones commented on this, and I'm inclined to believe this is the path. I'm not going to quite give it 4. I think it's closer to 4 than it is the Dak one being to 4, for example. Tag is 10.1, we'll round $1 million there. He's coming off the leg injury in the playoffs. I'm not really that concerned about the leg injury for Tony Pollard. I think he'll be just fine in time for camp. The surgery was not for the leg fracture. It was for a tightrope ankle procedure, so I'm not that worried about it when it's all said and done. What's really interesting here when it comes to Pollard is the, I think, fairly revealing quote Stephen Jones gave Todd Archer and ESPN, saying, quote, "We're not afraid of the tag. End of the day, we'll probably use it again this year." Well, the most logical tag candidate is Tony Pollard, and I think this is the path the Cowboys are heading once again, which is kind of the middle ground, just like it was for Dalton Schultz that I don't love. Either pay him and give yourself more cap flexibility for a deal that will be pretty similar on the average per year cost, or move on and draft 2 guys in this upcoming draft. I am open more than other backs in this free agency class to keeping Pollard, because he brings to you the one thing you don't really have right now, and that is the speed. Tony Pollard is the one fast player you have on offense. CeeDee Lamb's not slow, but 4.5 isn't that fast. And Kevontae Turpin's fast, but he doesn't play on offense. You get rid of Pollard, and this is the slowest offense in the entire NFL. That does concern me a little bit. So what would you do with Tony Pollard? W for let him walk. You don't want to pay back, so I get where you're coming from. P for pay him, get that long-term deal done. Or T, tag him for now. Let's talk Jerry Jeudy trade here. I'll give this one 1 star. It's a fun idea. I'm all for it if you can make it happen. And the Cowboys, the one spot they've wanted to make the big-time move at has been receiver in recent years. I don't think Jeudy's the one who ends up getting dealt by Denver. We talked about Courtland Sutton in the past, and I would have interest in that one as well. Jeudy was mentioned in trade talks before the trade deadline. Then the Chase Claypool trade happened where we went for what has become the 32nd overall pick, which was an oopsie by the Bears. But he's young, coming off a strong finish post-trade deadline with the Claypool trade in the background. Even knowing Jeudy will want a $23 million deal, I don't think Denver shops him. And I would wonder if this particular archetype of the young, but you got to pay him receiver, not sure that's quite what Dallas is looking for, even knowing they can get out of the Gallup deal next year. Jeudy was almost 1,000-yard player despite missing 2 games this year, so pretty close on that front as far as I'm concerned. He's a great football player. He actually does bring you some speed, some route running that I think would provide value, but even though you desperately need more receiver help, I'm just not going to get my hopes up for a trade which would cost you at least, I think, your first-round pick being the option in the end, even though it'd be fun. You get 2 of the better receivers from that same draft class, Lamb and Jeudy, but remember, you're probably going to want to pay Lamb this offseason. But receiver is a significant need for this Cowboys team. How do you want to fix it? F for free agency, D for address it in the draft. Sound off in the comments section. Speaking of the draft, how about taking Jaxon Smith-Njigba? 2 stars. The teams that need a receiver in the latter part of round 1, that early to mid-20 range, right where you are, makes me uncertain he'll fall to you, but I said there was no way CeeDee Lamb would fall to you, and I was happy to be wrong there. That's the most that I've been in draft night in a long time. Bleacher Report picked the dream draft target for each NFL team. They went with Jaxon Smith-Njigba for the Cowboys. Now, look, JSN is not a burner. He's only really played the slot, so I would wonder how he meshes exactly with CeeDee Lamb, since they'll probably have something similar 40-yard dash time. I think JSN is slower, even with the faster turf at Indy. He's a slot guy so far. Can he play on the outside? I'm not so sure. But he does create the thing this Cowboys team. If you're not going to bring me speed, bring me separation. And because JSN is such a quality and reliable route runner, I have interest in that. I would be on board if he's there at 26, whether he's my best player or 5th best player on the board. I think he'd probably be my number 1 receiver left, and that would make it worthwhile for me when it comes to fixing that wide receiver spot, because Steven will admit it, they messed up at wide receiver last offseason.